Today is Wednesday, January 24th. We have today before us Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant, Alley City Sanitation Bureau, and that's case number 1212-40 for a status report and modification for an order of abatement. And we're going to go ahead and adjourn for about 15 minutes. I have two board members that are having trouble getting in, so we're off the record for 15 minutes. You can start the recording. We're back on the record. Okay. All right. Thank you for your patience. We can go ahead and start then with marking the exhibits. And I understand that we have exhibits coming in from the district. Is that correct? Or none?
No, I don't have any.
Okay. How about from LA City Sanitation?
No, we do not have an exhibit. There were copies of the status conference or the status report that was filed on January 12th. The caption incorrectly reflected 2023. And so a revised copy was provided for your convenience, but we have no intention to rely on it as an exhibit or utilize it as an exhibit. It is in all substantive respects exactly the same as what was submitted on January 12th.
Okay. All right. So we have then comments from the public. There are 4, and I'm going to be marking them starting with P14. And that's the one that is dated P15. Thank you for that correction. Okay, and that's the one from Tamara. Okay, good luck on this one. Chakowski. I'm not sure on that. So sorry. And that's dated January 23rd of 2024. Then it would be P16 from Holly Shelton. Then we have P17. And that is from DC Shop. And then we have, did I miss a number here? 15, 16, 17, and 18 will be from Richard Johnson. Okay, will you be having witnesses this morning?
I have Inspector Haynes here from compliance.
Okay. And I really should be asking who's here on behalf of the district.
Good morning, Erica Chavez on behalf of the executive officer.
And Mary Reichert on behalf of the executive officer.
Thank you. And on behalf of LA City Sanitation.
Adina Hopenstand, Deputy City Attorney with the Office of the City Attorney on behalf of Respondent City of Los Angeles, including Hyperion and Los Angeles Sanitation.
Okay.
And Virginia Choi, Office of the City Attorney, Deputy City Attorney on behalf of Respondent.
Okay, great. And will you be having witnesses this morning?
Yes, we have one witness, Sharuze Sanei from Los Angeles Sanitation Environment. We also have a witness available to the board, although it's not our intention to call, from Montrose, should there be any questions.
Okay. And Ms. Chavez, did you say you did or did not have any witnesses?
Yes, I have one witness from compliance, and I have engineering staff should there be any questions.
Okay, great. So all those who are going to be providing testimony, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear under penalty of perjury that you will be telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Okay, thank you. All right, with that, we can go ahead and proceed. And Ms. Chavez, did you want to start with your opening statements?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. We are here for a status hearing on the nuisance order for abatement against LA Sanitation Hyperion Treatment Plant. We have Inspector Haynes from Compliance and Enforcement to discuss Hyperion's compliance with OA conditions and updates on notices of violation and nuisance complaints. The odor complaints do appear to have reduced over the last several months. The OA conditions and recent completion of capital projects, including the scrubber refurbishment and installation of permanent tank covers and seals, appear to be having a positive impact thus far. In regard to Hyperion's complaint system, both parties agree that this has caused improvements in notification to Hyperion of odors and in their ability to respond sooner to make corrections. However, we have seen community members write in, and we expect to hear from them today, that Hyperion continues to not provide written reports after receiving odor complaints in a timely manner. At the last hearing, the board requested that the district provide testimony on health effects based on the two 24-hour community samples. After consultation with staff, the district cannot conduct a health effects analysis based on those two samples because of the limited data collected. The district is not seeking additional conditions at this time. The last deliverable is the completion of tank covers and seals of battery tank D, which is currently out of service, and that is due in June 2024. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you for that. Ms. Hoppenstadt, your opening statement, please.
Thank you. Good morning to members of the board and Madam Chair. In the course of the hearings on this matter, respondent City of Los Angeles, including its Hyperion facility, has heard from this board, has heard from community members, has heard from members of the public, and from staff, including staff that will be here present today, about their concerns relating to the facility. And respondent has worked with all parties towards addressing those concerns and reaching a point where potential odors from Hyperion are not an issue to the surrounding community. You will hear today about progress towards this end. Respondent submitted a status report on January 12th and is prepared to answer questions as to that submission or its submission on how the facility has addressed fugitive odors, which was also transmitted about 2 weeks ago. With that, we are eager to report on the positive results and the additional work that is planned for the facility and towards achieving this abatement order and all its conditions.
Thank you very much. Okay. Are we expecting members of the public that will be calling in? Do you have any, Teresa, that you can see at this point?
Madam Chair, we presently have about 12 members of the public via Zoom. We do have one member with her hand raised at this time.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and take that public comment because I know that many of them have work to go back to. So let's go ahead and listen to that first member of the public that had their hand raised.
Okay.
And they also need to let us know whether they're going to be providing testimony upon which they could be questioned, or are they just making a comment?
The member has their hand raised, but I don't see a microphone or a telephone, so I'm not able to move her over. There she goes. Okay, and she is permitted to speak.
Okay, and what was her name again?
Her name is Tamara.
I believe she had a written comment also.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, ma'am. You have 3 minutes, but first, if you can let us know whether you are going to be providing testimony upon which you could be questioned by either party or the board members, or are you merely making a comment?
Testimony.
Okay, great. Okay, your 3 minutes starts now.
Thank you.
Yes, I need to swear her in.
Yes.
Okay, so if you can raise your right hand. And can you please pronounce your last name? Because I'm sure I didn't pronounce it correctly.
It's Kachowski.
Kachowski, okay. All right, do you swear under penalty of perjury that you will be telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
First of all, good morning. Thank you to the board members. I'd like to actually implore you to take into consideration the health effects to the residents that are still ongoing. While I understand and noticeably see that there is a difference in the number of odor complaints that we are filing, please note that the odors have not gone away and are still affecting residents today, myself included. I know that Hyperion likes to use the 30 parts per billion rule for H2S, just as an example. However, stating that they don't smell these odors or that they're not causing any issues for residents is blatantly false. I myself, at levels of anywhere between 3 and 5, sometimes even lower, of H2S, will cause me to vomit. And the same thing happens with my pet, and my daughter also gets sick. We still have rashes. We will still get eye styes, health, breathing issues, can't catch your breath and have to leave. So you'll see in my written statement just the number of days that I didn't receive responses from LA Sanitation and Hyperion. You'll also see in there that I was out of state for 23, almost 24 days and didn't have any health issues whatsoever in those days that I was absent from El Segundo. The night that I came back the following morning, I awoke to an ice pick headache and the smell from Hyperion. So that was my welcome back, my welcome home. So nothing has solidified for me that there aren't enough changes happening right now at El Segundo in Hyperion than coming back and immediately having a headache when I didn't have any issues while I was out of state. Not one. And you have to take into consideration this was 2.5 years of smelling this, of trying to leave the city as much as possible just to escape the headaches. So I'd just like you to take that into consideration in my closing. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, does anybody from the district, Ms. Chavez, do you have any questions for this witness?
No, thank you for your comment.
Okay, Ms. Hoppenstedt, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thank
Or-
you.
Thank you. Board members? Any questions? Mr. Balagopalan?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Mara. Now, I'm looking at your email, and I think you indicated you only got about 46% of the reports based on the complaints you filed. What was the reason that Hyperion gave you why they have not submitted the rest of the reports, or why they were not timely?
Hello?
Did you hear the question, ma'am?
I did. So I did not receive a reason from LA San. I did attend the community meeting last week, and the community meeting, they were telling people that you could contact Allison at LA San and that she would get those out to you if you were missing any. Well, not my job to do your job for LA San. So I don't have an explanation as to why I'm not receiving them. I use the same email address for consistency for myself and to be able to see what those reasons are. And they're quite all over the board. I mean, there's definitely a little pattern there, spin the wheel to see, which reason, or it doesn't smell at all when their own fence line monitoring will tell you differently, because I never used to look at that. But now, after I've made a phone call, I make it a habit of trying to remember to go on to the Hyperion Montrose site to see what those levels are as to why it's affecting me so greatly. Because I'll get a headache before I even smell it.
Was that your
Just
question?
as a follow-up, when you do smell it and you go to the website, what did they show? Exceedances of the H2S limit standard?
No, it does not show exceedance of the 30 parts per billion, because we rely on that decades old permit. It will show whatever the levels at that moment happen to be. They can be low, they can be around 1. I smell it when it's under 1, especially if it gets trapped in my home. And like I said, 3s, 4s, and upwards, I'm throwing up. So there's definitely people here who are sensitive to it. I happen to be one of them. I wish I wasn't, but I am.
And just a final question, just how far are you don't have to give me address or anything. How far are you approximately in what direction from the plant? Is your home located?
I'm on the north end of the plant, and I'll give you cross streets. I'm at Hillcrest and Imperial. So I'm just down over on the north end. I think most of the complaints come from everybody on the Hillcrest side. We also seem to have the most health effects, those of us who are closest to the plant. Lots of headaches on this side that we did not have prior.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you for your testimony, ma'am. Any others, Teresa?
No other hands raised currently, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, we can go ahead and, did you say you did or did not have any witnesses, Ms. Chavez?
Yes, I have Inspector Haynes.
Okay.
Good morning, Inspector Haynes.
Good morning.
Can you spell your name for the record, please?
Last name is Haynes, Haynes. First name is Michael, Michal.
And did you take the oath this morning?
Yes, I did.
Okay, great. And can you tell us your title with the district?
I'm an Inspector 3 in the Toxic Waste Management Unit.
Okay, great. And did you review anything to prepare for your testimony today?
Yes.
And what is that?
Notice of violations issued to Hyperion Treatment Plant, notice of violation reports, and then also some of the complaint numbers and complaint reports.
Okay, great. Does the district continue to receive odor complaints from Hyperion?
Yes.
Okay, and can you give us an overview of complaint counts from the last 6 months? If we can start in August 2023, do you have a complaint count for August 2023?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
That was 182 complaints received by the South Coast Air Quality Management District.
Okay, and how about September 2023?
157 complaints received by the South Coast Air Quality Management District.
Okay, and for October 2023?
128 complaints received.
Okay, and November 2023?
64 complaints received.
And December 2023?
79 complaints received.
Okay, and great. And up through January, as of yesterday, how many complaints have you received in January?
A total of 28.
Okay, great. So it appears the district has seen a decrease in the amount of odor complaints. Would you agree?
Yes.
And can you attribute the decrease of odor complaints to anything?
Yes.
What would that be?
I think it'd be two-pronged. One would be Hyperion Treatment Plant shift supervisors as well as plant operators have a better understanding of the order of abatement and they're following the order of abatement. And then the second one would be a lot of the community residents have given up on phoning in complaints.
Okay. Are you still responding to the complaints at Hyperion, or are other inspectors from your unit doing most of the responses?
It's other inspectors along with myself. I'm more like backup to two other inspectors at the agency in our unit.
Okay, but have you been made aware of some of their inspections when they go out to the facility?
Yes, I was briefed by Inspector Moda and Inspector Solomon.
Okay. Do you know if there's a common cause of the odors when you have been on site at Hyperion, or if you have talked to other inspectors or read from their reports?
Yes, I have read from other reports as well as briefed by other inspectors. some of the odor issues that they've been able to identify have been tied to some of the plant operations and equipment.
Okay, as far as notices of violation, were you able to review notices of violation for nuisance that have been issued since the last date of hearing in June?
Yes,
Okay, and has the district issued any NOVs for nuisance since the last date of the June hearing?
yes, we have.
Okay, and when was that issued?
That was issued in October of 2023.
Okay, any others?
Yes,
Any others for nuisance?
no,
Okay.
only one for nuisance.
And did you issue that notice of violation?
No, I did not.
Okay, who did?
Inspector Solomon.
Okay, and did you review Inspector Solomon's report?
I reviewed his report, but mainly I was briefed by Inspector Solomon regarding it.
Are you able to tell us a little bit of that notice of violation for nuisance?
Yes.
Okay, please tell us what you can.
Okay. Mr. Solomon, after responding to odor complaints in October, he identified 13 verified odor complaints downwind from Hyperion Treatment Plant. He later traced these odors back to the fence line, and thus entering the plant was directed to the control room located in an administration building, where he interviewed shift soups regarding the status of the plant's operations. He later identified that the odors were mainly attributed to the Headworks building.
Okay. And I understand you may have maintenance records from that day. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
And can you tell us if any maintenance was being performed at Hyperion that could have also caused those odors?
Well, as you know, Hyperion Treatment Plant is an active plant, so they're constantly doing basic maintenance. Equipment does go down. There is equipment going down that may require them to phone in a breakdown, but reviewing the records, it indicated that they were having some issues with some centrifuges, which may have contributed to the odors. And then they were also doing refurbishments of the primary batteries, which may have contributed to the odors that Inspector Solomon identified on that day.
Thank you. Okay, and have there been any other notices of violation issued for nuisance since October?
No.
Okay. Turning to the OA conditions, the order for abatement conditions, have you been monitoring Hyperion's compliance with OA conditions?
Yes, I have.
Okay, and Hyperion had two projects in the fall. One was the refurbishment of primary treatment chemical scrubbers. Was that completed timely in September 2023?
Yes, it was.
Okay, and then they also had refurbishment of all covers and seals of primary clarifier battery tanks that are online. Was that completed timely by December 31st, 2023?
Yes, it was.
Great. And since the last date of hearing in June, have there been any other problems as far as compliance with, as far as Hyperion's compliance with OA conditions?
Yes, it has.
Okay, and can you tell us about some of those problems?
Yes, AQMD inspectors investigated multiple complaints that led into us reviewing order of abatement conditions. These conditions led to the issuance of 3 notice of violations, one in June, one in August, and one in October of 2023.
Okay, so let's talk briefly about each of those. For the notice of violation issued in June, can you tell us what OA violation, or excuse me, what order for abatement condition that was violated?
Yes, this notice of violation number P as in Paul 63327. AQMD finalized their investigation of order of abatement conditions on June the 19th, 2023. And during that investigation, we determined and reviewed High Pyramid Treatment Plant's compliance with the order of abatement OA 1212-40, and subsequently multiple counts of the order of abatement were in violation during that investigation.
Okay, and specifically, what were the major, what were the concerns? I understand handling of complaints received by the facility. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, subsequently, we issued on counts 1EX, excuse me, multiple times, and we also issued on condition number 5. Going back to the initial condition 1EX, that was for failure to document and maintain proof that written reports were provided to complainants summarizing the complaint findings within the 96 hours of them receiving the complaint. That was confirmed on May the 25th through June the 8th. We reviewed High Pyramid Treatment Plant's complaint logs on site, and they failed to show proof that any documents were sent back to these complainants within 96 hours. That infraction occurred again on May the 25th, again through June the 8th, and it was documented twice, which was part of the order of abatement. We also, on that same day, identified condition number 5 in violation, and that was failure to notify AQMD, South Coast Air Quality Management District, by telephone within an hour of discovery of the H2S readings exceeding 30 parts per billion. In this case, it was on June the 19th, and it was discovered at their central monitoring system, which is located on the east side of the facility.
Okay, great, thank you. And then you stated there were 2 more notices of violation issued, the next one being December 8th, 2023 for violation of August 15th, 2023.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and what was the conditions that were violated in that notice of violation?
Well, again, AQMD received complaints, and we then proceeded to the site to investigate plant operations and compliance with the order of abatement. We completed that investigation on August the 15th, 2023, and reviewing their records, we found that the order of abatement condition number 5 was in violation. And that condition, ladies and gentlemen of the board, is mainly failure to, again, notify AQMD within 1 hour after discovery of the H2S readings from the central monitor. And again, this occurred on August the 16th, 2023.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, there was another notice of violation issued December 12th, 2023 for a violation date of October 7th, 2023. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and can you tell us what order for abatement conditions were violated in that notice of violation?
Yes, again, AQMD responded to complaints, did our normal order of abatement compliance inspection investigation. That ended on October the 7th, 2023, with the issuance of 2 violation counts per the order of abatement. The first violation count was condition number 9, where High Pyramid Treatment Plant failed to notify AQMD South Coast of any equipment that operates contrary to the Title V permit condition. Their scrubbers on October the 7th and October the 9th led to the 30 parts per million exceedance, I believe, at the fence line. And then we also issued a count for condition number 12, failure to notify South Coast within 1 hour of the H2S readings greater than 1 parts per million at the exhaust of the odor control system. which in this case is their odor control scrubber serving the primaries. And that would be permit number G22329. And again, that was also documented on October the 9th, 2023.
Okay, great, thank you. And are you aware if Hyperion is taking any action to correct those violations or concerns?
Yes.
And what actions have they taken?
Well, after discussing it with shift soups and some plant management and plant engineers, they did not clearly describe why the exceedances occurred or why they failed to notify the agency promptly on some of this. It was just that they are, doing the best that they can do, and they're going to keep and try to comply with the order of abatement.
Okay. And are there any remaining deliverables left from the OA conditions?
Yes, there are.
And what is that?
Well, by June of this year, they have to finish the seal and the cover replacements on battery D.
Okay, and that is currently offline right now, is that right?
Yes, I did a compliance investigation on a Saturday about 2 weeks ago and confirmed that the system was completely locked out. The system was closed. There was no material left in battery D. They still maintain the temporary covers on battery D. So yes, they did a good job on that one. They did shut it down.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. And you said by June 2024, is that right?
Correct. That is when it's due.
Okay. Okay. And turning to Hyperion's complaint system that they operate. As far as you know, is Hyperion still operating their complaint system?
Yes, as of Saturday, when I did an unannounced inspection at the site, I was able to confirm that they are still receiving and documenting complaints in their control room.
Okay. And does the district's compliance team find this complaint system beneficial?
Yes, it's the only document that shows what's occurring at the site during the time that the complainants are phoning in to Hyperion Treatment Plant.
Okay. And are you finding that Hyperion is able to be notified sooner of odor complaints from the community?
Well, Hyperion Treatment Plant is receiving the complaints. They are responding according to the logs that I've reviewed. And they also identified problems with the plant during the times that the complainants were phoning in.
Okay. Have you heard complaints from the community members about the complaint system?
Yes, I have.
And what are those complaints?
Mainly that they're not getting a call back, and I explained to them that Hyperion Treatment Plant, per the order of abatement, does not necessarily need to call them back. They just need to send them the written record. Most of them have never received the written record since the order of abatement exception or adoption, excuse me. The ones that have, they've received two different types. One is the one that I normally look at in the plant, and another one is a Excel document that doesn't really say a whole bunch of anything on it. So yeah, they are, receiving complaints. They are documenting it per the order of abatement. It appears they're just not sending out the written summaries.
Okay, and so that seems to be the main complaint of the community, is that they want the written summary after they call in.
Yeah, besides the fact that they're still smelling odors, that is the second complaint that I normally get. And then the third one would be that Hyperion Treatment Plant, even when they do respond to the odor complaint, they normally tell them there is no problems at the plant. So a lot of the complainants are sort of kind of like giving up on our system.
Okay, but after your review of their logs showing that they received calls, you're seeing that they're responding and taking corrective action.
Yes, the logs that I've reviewed, and since the order of abatement, I've probably looked at least 150 of their complaint logs, maybe more. They're very detailed. I will give Hyperion Treatment Plant credit. That's not normally what I will say, but I'll give them credit that they do document thoroughly any items that the plant operator sees when they're responding to the complaint. They do definitely document that information, and it's thorough. So yes, they are keeping the records. Why they're not sending them out to the respective complainants, I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you. Does the district's compliance team still seek to maintain this condition of having Hyperion operate its own complaint system?
Yes, we would want Hyperion Treatment Plant to comply with it, though. Again, they're not sending the written records out, so they are documenting the complaint. They're definitely doing an investigation based upon the complaint. Again, they're documenting problems that the operator is seeing or non-problems that they see when they do the reports. They're just not sending the reports timely to the complainants.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, at the last hearing, there was mention of Hyperion's revisions to some of the fence line measurements, and the board asked for clarification on that. Do you recall that statement at the last hearing?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and can you please explain what you had meant by that?
Well, again, it was brought to my attention, as well as I saw on one day, their readings at their central monitoring had indicated a concentration. And then maybe 2 hours later, that same reading changed for whatever reason. I investigated that via Hyperion Treatment Plant, and it was told to me that the system suffered some integrity systems, meaning water got into it or something to that extent, and the had been repaired. Since then, I have not seen any changes or any problems with their Montrose reporting system, and I look at it daily in the morning and in the afternoon. So if anyone is familiar with their system, I am, and definitely I've not seen any changes of data at this time.
Great. Okay, so is there any other compliance concerns with the fence line monitoring system or the readings at this time?
No, there's none.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from LA Sanitation?
No, thank you.
Board members? Mr. Pearman?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Haynes. You described the complaints decreasing certainly in the last quarter of 2023. Curious, is there any pattern in prior calendar years of complaints dropping off in the winter quarter, so to speak?
Yes, normally winter is colder, so the complainants or the odors does not go as far from what I could see compared to what you would see in the summer months. But otherwise than that, it's standard for us to see the numbers a little lower in the fall compared to numbers in the summer months. And then also people are at home a lot more in the summer months. So, we will probably get more complaints on that issue also.
But here they've dropped at least, 50%. Is that kind of an unusual drop off in terms of the difference? I mean, more than that really from the high point in August, but.
Yeah, then you saw that they popped up again, I think on in December. So as I said, AQMD has been tracking the complaint numbers, but remember, these are the complaints that AQMD receives. So if we don't get the call, of course, there is no number. Therefore, I'm seeing and interfacing with some of the complainants. What has been told to me was that, again, they're no longer calling. A lot of the people are no longer calling because they don't see an end to it. They don't see any movement, and they're not getting any reports. So I think a lot of the numbers are attributed to Hyperion Treatment Plant following the order of abatement. Their shift soups and their operators definitely are doing a lot better job of understanding the order of abatement. So I will give them that note that some of the numbers were decreased because of the way they're handling the order of abatement, the way they are approaching securing the lids and covers on the primaries. But also those numbers could be misdirected if you think everything is copacetic out there. It is not. I'm still getting this. It's just the concentration of the odors are a little more intense, and then most of these complainants are in the Hillcrest area of El Segundo. There, I mean, that's a street, so it's a lot closer to the plant compared to some of the other areas. So I will contribute the fact that the numbers have decreased. I think the numbers have definitely decreased because of Hyperion treatment plants understanding the order of abatement and complying with the order of abatement. But also there is that fraction that the reason some of the numbers are a little low is that the people who generate the numbers have stopped calling.
All right. Now, condition 55 was to request to South Coast AQMD to report to the hearing board on their inspector's report of claims of unexplained revisions to the real-time pollution measurements. So is your last discussion about the water affecting the integrity of the equipment response to the number 55 in essence, the same point?
I would put it under 55. Again, I was interfacing with plant management to inquire what was the cause of the number, or in this case, the central monitoring having some issues, and that's what they reported to me. So since then, there's not been any issues with the concentrations that are being reported on Montrose's system, from what I can see. Also, they have a backup system now. Just in case this one goes down, they do have a backup one per the order of abatement on site that they can move into place. So right now, I don't think they're speaking from compliance and enforcement. There are no open problems with their monitoring system at this time that I can confirm.
Thank you, thank you. And then, Counsel, can this witness speak to condition 53 and exactly why you felt you could not conduct that assessment as you mentioned in your opening?
No, I don't believe this witness can speak to that condition.
Okay. Counsel, when does the order of abatement expire?
We were planning to seek jurisdiction till the end of August. They have a deadline for the last deliverable in June. We would like to have a couple months after that for compliance to confirm that they've complied with that condition.
Yeah, it'd be good to tell us that in advance. That is a change of condition. So thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you. Mr. Balagopalan?
Yes, morning, Mr. Haynes.
Morning, Mr. Balapan. Good to see you.
Good to see you, and thank you for being well prepared. And I know I took you to task the last time for not having the stats on the NOVs. Appreciate you giving the numbers this time. I just had a question though. In the August, there were 182 complaints. None of them were verified that resulted in a NOV?
Well, I did not respond to all of the 182, so I really cannot speak on that. There were two other inspectors that were lead on handling most of the complaints from August through December. Again, I was a backup. But from what I've talked with those inspectors, and also doing some complaint investigations myself when some of the other inspectors were off, mainly, you get the complaint. It normally is in the morning or the afternoon. Once you get there, because again, we're not in that area all the time. Once we get there, it's a good chance the complaint, the odor is no longer present. So yes, these are numbers that phoned in, but these are not numbers that we can say we confirmed. Now, even if we did confirm them, unless we get over 6, we don't take any action on them. So I can't really say out of the 182, no odors were confirmed by a district rep, but I will say no odors were confirmed that exceeded 6 complaints. So therefore, no nuisance NOV was issued.
And that would be the case for August. There was received 157 complaints.
I would say that for August, September, October, November, December, and January. You know, we did confirm one in October of 2023. But again, to the board and to everyone that's listening, getting the complaint is fairly responsive for our agency. It's then the inspector confirming the odor when they get there. And again, winds change a lot out there. One time it's coming from the east and it's from the west. So it depends on when the inspector gets to the site and what odors the inspector is confirming. But yes, it's a situation that we constantly have to keep up with because it's not easy. And again, you're not dealing with one or two complaints, you're dealing with multiple complaints, multiple addresses. So yeah, it's a job in itself. But yes, I will indicate that I cannot say out of all these complaints how many we did confirm, and it was just under 6, so we didn't issue the nuisance. But I will indicate on definitely for the month of December, I did actually respond to multiple complaints. And when I got there, there were faint odors or there were no odors at all at the addresses that I went to. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Let me ask you, and not specifically you, I know the other inspectors also, do you compare the complaints received by the AQMD with the complaints received by the facility? And how do they match as far as the tally?
I would say most of the complainants do not notify Hyperion treatment plant. So for example, if we get 10 complaints, I would say less than 5 notify Hyperion treatment plant. When asked, some say again, you know, they're tired of the system. They don't, when they do call them back, they don't call them back. If they do call them back, they don't call them back with any, you know, anything, or if they don't, then they're not getting any written reports. So a lot of the complainants in the community, you know, just dropped off at that point. So.
Okay, thanks. Other question was on the, I think you mentioned June, August, and there were a number of June, August, and October violations issued for the order abatement conditions, and specifically number 5 was mentioned twice, and that's a 1-hour notification to the district. However, are they for doing the other portion of it, the number 6, where they submit the root cause analysis within 5 days?
Yeah, if they did not, definitely to the board, we would have taken action against them on that, especially I'm reviewing a lot of the order of abatement activities to confirm compliance. I'm normally at Hyperion Mondays, Saturdays, sometimes I go in on Sundays. So that it's unannounced. They don't know I'm coming. So, you know, they treat me professionally. They show me the records. If I ask for records, they give them to me. But yeah, you know, it's just an ongoing scenario at the plant. Maintenance issues are constant. Yeah.
And what reason did they give you? I mean, they're doing the report within 5 days, which is good. And I know the board also get copies of those root cause analysis, which I've looked at. But what reason did they give you for not notifying within an hour? Is it just the shift, or is it supervisor not?
I would just say, well, remember, I interface with shift supervisors and plant operators, also engineers, but mainly shift sups. No answer really. You know, some of them say they forgot, or some of them say they got to it. There was one scenario where they said that they did not leave a voicemail on our system, and evidently our system didn't accept it or something to that extent. But that was pretty much all that they said regarding why we didn't get that in advance. But I will say this. When there are problems at the plant, meaning maintenance issues that they have to address, notifying AQMD within an hour does not look like it's a priority. Their main job is trying to resolve the issue, ladies and gentlemen. I will give Hyperion Treatment Plant credit on that. I have said to them, yeah, but you didn't notify us within an hour. And they apologize. But I am expecting them to handle the problem at hand. And again, giving me a reason of why they didn't notify within, you know, hour is important, but I need them to handle that problem because that problem could blow up into something even more major. So even though I don't condone the fact that they did not notify us within an hour, I do give them that option to, hey, handle your business. Because if, again, we cannot afford another spill, we cannot afford another leak, we cannot afford any of that because of so close to the to complainants downwind. Thank you.
Thank you. Just one, a couple of questions left. On I think it's October, there was an exceedance of the 1 ppm and the outlet of the scrubber. Do you know what the readings were at that time when they exceeded that 1 ppm? How high was it?
I would say approximate, and I don't have that number right in front of me, but I memorized approximate somewhere between 5 and 10 parts per million.
And did they give a reason why there was?
Not really. Scrubber problems. In general, scrubber problems. No specific reason given. I think their plant engineers could maybe be able to speak on that a little bit more, but no real specific reason was given. Now, or the answer would be we're investigating it, and never get back to me regarding that reason.
And I think you answered this question about, and so that one, which was an issue last time, where you're saying they were not doctoring, but they were unexplained revision, but that was only one time.
Okay, yeah, that was only that one time, and yeah, that was only at one time. And as I said, that was mainly that led to the fact that they didn't have the backup system on site and all that. But yeah, that was just at one time, and they corrected it. And as I said, I've not seen any changes with their fence line numbers since then. And again, it was probably associated with that maintenance of that equipment.
Okay, the last question, I'm looking for it, but condition 56, where they're supposed to provide statement documentation about ongoing training. Do you know that was provided? I thought I saw that, but do you know?
Well, yeah, the plant operators and the plant shift supervisors have their certificates posted in a glass case in the hallway and the control next to the control room. So yeah, I walked and viewed those. They also told me about specific training that they had with the air pollution group or the air pollution engineers on site. So otherwise than that, that's pretty much all that's been said and done at that point.
And that, okay, I do see that. I think there was something on the training. Okay. Well, thank you. I have no further questions. Mr. Haynes.
Thank you, Mr. Balagopalan. I wanted to also thank you, sir, for all of the hard work that you've done out in the field to make sure that we get a good picture of what's occurring out there. What I really wanted to ask you was, of all of these events that you go to, incidences that you go to, is the smell the same? Is the odor the same? Or is it different?
Could you be more specific? Are we talking about at the fence line in the community or on site?
Just overall, in general, when you respond to these, is it the same odor time and time again, or are there different odors?
No, you have a different odor. If they're having something to do with maybe a scrubber, you have a sewage and you have like a chemical odor, like not an ammonia, but it's something like a Clorox, a bleach type odor mixed in with the sewage odor. If there's issues where they're cleaning out or opening up the primaries, you're going to have a pretty strong sewage type odor. If they are just doing routine maintenance, you're going to have a more lighter type of sewage odor at the fence line or in the community. Now, when I go on site, yes, there's definitely level 2, level 3 type odors, depending on what piece of equipment I'm near. But again, the primaries have been the sore spot, I would say. And subsequently, those lids, again, covers and seals were important and they got them in. So that has definitely decreased a lot of the odors around the primary batteries. But when you go around headworks or when you're passing or near the grid barn or the grid barn doors are open, no, you still have, say, a level 1, possibly level 2 type sewage odor.
Okay, thank you very much for your answers to our questions and for your patience. Thank you so much. Any other questions, board members? Okay. Ms. Chavez, you can go on to your next witness.
Thank you, Inspector Haynes. I don't have any further witnesses. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Hoppenstedt, you can start with your witnesses.
Thank you. Respondent calls Sharuze Sinai, please.
Okay, and before we do that, we received another member of the public comment from Laura Von Giovi. So that'll be marked as a P19.
Ms. Sinai, could you please state and spell your full name for the record?
Yes, SHAHROUZEH, last name SANEIE.
And what is your position
I am-
with the city, and briefly describe your job duties?
Yes, I'm a senior engineer with LA Sanitation Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant. And my current duties and responsibilities include overseeing activities and programs related to air pollution control, biosolid management, and digester gas utilization facility.
And staff in your division works on compliance with this abatement order?
Yes,
And do you understand that you're under oath?
yes,
And you took that oath earlier this morning?
yes,
Are you aware of a status report that was submitted to this body on January 12th?
yes,
And did you review the status report before it was submitted?
yes,
And you understand its contents and are able to answer questions if asked?
yes,
And as to condition 56, to which member Balagopalan asked questions, did you understand that that status report summarized the confirmation of training on both odor patrol and H2S monitoring,
yes,
as well as training related to compliance with the order?
yes,
And the status report also confirmed the completion of the primary scrubber refurbishment, did it not?
yes,
And we heard about that from the compliance witness as well.
yes,
And that was completed timely.
yes,
And the status report also spoke to confirmation of the in-service covers and seals being replaced of the primary batteries.
yes,
And those were replaced on time.
yes,
And there was also a submission by sanitation on January 12th relating to addressing the relative contribution of fugitives as outlined in York's December 2022 report.
yes,
And you are aware of that submission and had an opportunity to review it.
yes,
And in terms of questions that this board may have related to the way that the facility has addressed fugitive voters, you're able to answer those questions.
yes,
And Hyperion satisfied the condition associated with that report and submitted it on time.
yes,
I'm going to turn to the complaint procedure or complaint receipts at Hyperion for a minute. In prior hearings, there have been some questions as to how the 24/7 complaint handling at Hyperion occurs. Do you recall that generally?
yes,
And are you generally familiar with the hotline and the process?
yes, I am.
And can you briefly describe it?
Yes, in November 22, we entered into a contract with a third-party vendor, AMCOM, to provide 24/7 community hotline service to address issues related to plant activities.
And I noticed that one of the public comments submitted referenced a closure of that hotline. Is there any planned closure of that hotline to your knowledge?
Not that I am aware of.
And the hotline number is on a prominent sign outside Hyperion?
Yes,
And is the hotline number also communicated in various community outreach methods?
yes,
And do you know if calls are received to the 24/7 hotline?
Yes.
Yes, calls are received.
I'm sorry?
Are calls received to the 24/7 hotline?
Yes,
And when calls are received, does that give Hyperion an opportunity to investigate the potential source of the odors complained of?
yes.
And that's done, how long after the complaint must that investigation take place?
Immediately once we receive the complaint, we start investigation and identify the root cause of the process and if necessary, implement mitigative measures.
And is that done within, you say immediately, is that about 1 hour?
Once we receive it, yes,
And when AQMD gets, pardon me, when South Coast AQMD get their complaints, is that something you find out about immediately?
no,
And before this on-site complaint procedure began, is it fair to say that many times you would not find out about odor complaints for several hours?
yes,
And by having the complaint on site, does that enable a faster investigation?
yes.
And why is that faster investigation a good idea, in your opinion?
It would give us the opportunity to immediately address the issues, otherwise would have been persist for longer hours. And the odors would go away and we wouldn't be able to identify where the sources are.
And is it your understanding that LA sanitation staff do provide written summaries in the investigation to complainants when requested?
Yes,
And can you describe the forms of those written reports that are provided?
those summaries are provided to the residents in the form of text, email, or mail.
Okay. Does Hyperion report the number of odor complaints that it receives to South Coast Air Quality Management District?
Yes,
How often?
weekly, unless we receive more than 6 complaints in a calendar day.
And in the last couple of months, generally speaking, is it fair to say there's been a downward trend in odor complaints?
Yes,
And in the last couple of months, have the fence line monitor readings shown anything to you?
yes,
What have they displayed?
very low numbers.
Very low numbers of what? What do those readings?
H2S level, 1 hour H2S.
H2S is hydrogen sulfide?
Yes,
Are you optimistic that the cover replacement will largely resolve the odor complaints that this board has heard about previously?
yes,
And those covers were completed on the in-service tanks by the end of December, is that right?
yes.
No further questions for this witness.
Thank you very much. Okay,
Oh, actually, if I may retract my no further questions, I have one area I would like to ask the witness a question.
okay, go ahead.
We heard some testimony of a few notices of violations that were issued, including one in October for failure to notify AQMD. Was that October? I'm sorry, maybe I'm thinking of August, pardon me. I'll withdraw the question. We heard about a failure to contact the AQMD within 1 hour. Are you aware if that entailed a situation where there was a reading, an elevated reading on one day that persisted over the next calendar day?
Yes,
And was a call made on, I think it was August 15th?
yes,
But when it was essentially a continuous elevated reading, a second call wasn't made on the next calendar day.
that is correct.
Is that your understanding of what the basis of that NOV was in that instance?
Our understanding was once we call once, we don't, and if it is continuous, we don't have to call again. That's why we didn't call again.
Given the receipt of the NOV, are you going to consider changing that practice so that if there is a continuous issue over a calendar day, you'll make sure to call in?
Okay, yes,
And with respect to the written reports about which there have been some public comments and some questions raised by compliance, is it your intent to provide confirmation to compliance that reports are being provided by text, email, and in mail as you indicated?
yes.
Thank you. No further comments now or questions.
Okay, it's a quarter till and let's go ahead and take a 15-minute break. And we'll be off the record and we'll come back and allow the district to ask questions. We're back on the record. Madam Clerk is telling me that we need the proposed findings and decisions from the district in reference to changing the date.
We just had a discussion with the clerk's office. It looks like there was no date on the previous findings and decision. So we can include an additional finding with the new date and submit that to you
No, there's a date that says it expires.
on the minute order, but I don't think in the,
The finding, it's on page, 3 of it. It says that the extended the fire black date January 31st, 2024.
oh, we didn't see that.
Okay, and we just asked because the clerk has the Word document, so we asked her to just send it to us and I'll make those changes and submit it back.
Given the deliverable is due in June, that there's still a deliverable in June. I don't know why we had the January date originally.
Madam Clerk?
We don't write the finding. We just add the information as to the motion maker. So any information that's in the finding would be provided by the district. And based on that and our hearing is how we prepare the minute order. The minute order only says who's here and what was said. And then the finding has to be attached. As Mr. Balakopalan indicates, there is a section in there that indicates that the variance was, I'm sorry, the order for abatement was to end March 31st. That's why it is reflected in the minute order.
It's fine. I just am asking for a Word version of the order so I can revise it. That's it.
Yes, I do have that and I'm
Perfect.
sending it
That's
to
great.
you now.
All right. So we'll get that later in the hearing. Okay, thank you. All right, go ahead.
Just a clarification, Ms. Chavez. You said there was a deliverable on June, on the last, but what condition number is that? 37C? Okay, thank you.
Sorry, can you tell me where that?
Well, I see it on the, I think it's page 1,
Oh.
2, 3, 4, page 4, right at the top.
Okay, I believe we left off and the district is now questioning your witness.
Thank you. Good morning. Just a few questions. You heard the testimony and you've seen the letters from, or have you seen the letters from the community stating that they haven't received reports after their odor complaints to Hyperion?
Yes,
Okay, and have you been told before by the community that they aren't receiving complaint, or excuse me, have you been told before this hearing from community members that they haven't received reports after their odor complaints to Hyperion?
no,
No. Okay. Now that you are aware of community members claiming that they haven't received their reports after the complaints, do you plan to investigate your system?
yes.
Okay. And is it typically, who is the hotline manned by?
The hotline is by the third-party vendor, AMCOM. However, our outreach division respond to the community.
Okay, sorry. You said a third party.
The third party receives the call. The call is forwarded to Hyperion control room.
Mhm.
We conduct the investigation, submit our findings to our community outreach group, and they are the one that respond back to the resident if they are interested in receiving any emails or text or mail or phone call.
Okay, so the community outreach group would be the one to prepare the report and submit it to the community member.
Yes,
Okay. Okay. And has the community outreach group received training on the order for abatement?
they are very well aware of it. They are involved. They have been involved from day one into the whole process, and they have been given a standard operating procedure once we implemented the new system, so they know exactly what they should do. Yes,
Are they aware that they are supposed to be providing reports within 96 hours of the
Yes.
odor complaints?
I think they are.
Okay, but now that you know that you're getting a community complaints, you'll go back and investigate whether or not they do know and if they need additional training.
We will definitely, but I reviewed the record last night and most of the residents received their report in it through text or email based on their request. So I'm not sure exactly what the problems are. Maybe only probably the mail system that probably didn't deliver the mail. But I have seen the documentation from the community outreach that they have responded and submitted the report to the resident.
Okay, thank you. In regards to the hotline, I heard your testimony that Hyperion believes it has been beneficial in investigating, in your ability to investigate complaints faster. You're able to investigate odor complaints within an hour?
Yes.
Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, versus when you didn't have the hotline, there would be several hours before you would even know that there was a problem.
That is correct.
Were there occasions where it would be longer that to be notified of odor complaints?
I'm sorry.
It's my understanding that sometimes when NOVs were issued to Hyperion for nuisance, it would be days later, and Hyperion would not receive the notification right away.
Yes, yeah.
So on occasion, it would be more than a few hours. It
Oh,
could be
yes,
days
yes.
that you didn't know
Yes,
about an
yes,
odor problem in the
yes.
community.
Yes.
Okay. And so now when you receive the odor complaints directly on the hotline, action is taken within the hour.
That is correct.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
Okay, thank you. You have, now the board can ask questions. Do we have any questions from the board? Mr. Gopalan?
Morning, Ms. Sanvi.
Sunny.
I think we heard both from the inspector and some of the written communication from the public about the format of the report. I think some have indicated it's an Excel format and it's not useful. Even Inspector Haynes mentioned that. Do you know what they are talking about? The report that goes back, regarding their complaint. Is there like an Excel spreadsheet report?
We have an Excel report that includes the list of all the people that called in, the time, and all the detailed information. We also submit the actual write-up that the operations prepared in response to the complaint. So the Excel is just a very summary of all the information, but we also submit the findings based for each complaint to the district.
I thought I saw the Excel thing. Do you know, was that provided a copy? I was just wondering whether we had a copy of the report. No. Okay, never mind. So that's what they're talking about. So it's a list of all the complainants who
Yes.
complained
Yes.
and so forth. And
We
then the other one
submitted
is
yesterday. Yes.
the other one is just verbiage regarding the specific complainant, what was the cause and the response.
Yeah.
And you heard some stats that the community has listed saying that 40% only they've received of the requested report within 96 hours and so forth. And you said you're going to look into it and make
Yes,
sure
we
that
will
be
look into
addressed.
it, but our record shows that we have complied with the requirements. Maybe the mailing system probably is the problem.
Did it only go by mail or you do email
It
back? if
depends
there's a
on
request?
the residents' request.
Right.
If they want to be mailed, we mail. If they want text, we will text or email.
All right. All right, thank you. I had a question regarding, and I know Officer said we can ask you the question on this in the status report regarding the fugitive emission study, and I know in the table, and probably you know what I'm talking about, table 3.3, there's reference to the El Segundo and the Playa del Rey. The one on the complaint, I think it's the that area, is that the Playa del Rey or is that the El Segundo community, the northern part of the?
It's El Segundo.
It's El Segundo, okay. So I'll look at those numbers there, and so the digestive fugitives, and so they have 5, areas of the digestive fugitive: primary battery scrubber, batteries fugitives, DG desulfurization scrubber, and secondary clarified fugitives. Can you just touch? Are you prepared to just go through each one, say what has been done to address fugitives from each of those areas? Or
I think that table, as far as I know, just utilized dispersion modeling to evaluate the relative impact of each facility, assuming they are all being the same and equal concentration. And that table says that the 2/3 of the fugitive, 2/3 of the impact is from the fugitive, and the main one is from the primary. But that doesn't mean that we have fugitive from the rest of the facilities. We don't believe there is any fugitive from our digester gas system or the scrubbers and other facilities. The main source was the primary sedimentation tanks, corroded covers, that we already replaced them. And we have also refurbished the primary scrubbers. So these should minimize any fugitive, and we wouldn't be able, and we shouldn't be having any issues in terms of fugitives.
now the primary battery D is offline right now, and that's
Yes.
been cleaned right now?
Yes,
And that's supposed to be done by June of this year, is that what? the
that is
status-
correct. We
that's-
keep receiving shipment for the covers, and gradually we are going to bring them back online once we install the new covers. Yes.
So it's temporary cover, it's been cleaned?
Actual cover on top of temporary cover. They're both there.
But what's the situation right now
Yeah.
on D? Oh, you have a temporary cover and a actual
The
cover?
actual covers and then temporary covers on top of it with torque and everything. The primary battery D was the best among all the batteries.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and right now it's empty,
So it's been cleaned already?
being cleaned and repaired.
And then I think one of the projects, in the order, I'm looking at the previous, there were several projects that were to address odors control, $105 million, allocated. And I just wanted to run through them, and if you know it, just let me know. It says the headwork bio-trickling filters for odor control, that's completed?
Yes,
And that's working,
Yes.
to your knowledge, okay?
Yeah.
The tarp installation of primary sediment tank hours, that was A, B, C, and D, right? So A, B, and C has been done. You don't have the tarp anymore.
no,
Okay. Only D, you have that. And then ongoing, of course, the fence line monitoring, that's ongoing. The sedimentation tank hours, that's the one we just. What about the primary treatment centralized chemical scrubber? Where there's,
we refurbished them by the end of September. It was one of the order of abatement requirement. We refurbished all of them, but we are in the process of replacing them with bio-trickling filters.
okay. And, that's the one, my notes say probably be until 2026 when it'll be done?
Yes, but we are probably behind the schedule, yes.
So it'll be longer than 2026?
Yes,
Okay. And the truck loading facility odor system control, that's been also completed?
there was a project on truck loading facility.
That's what it says here.
Yes, the fan was broken, yes. It wasn't refurbished, but one of the, component was.
Completed, it says completed by
Yes.
December 2022.
Yes, that's
So that
true.
was
Yeah,
done
yeah.
previously. Okay, all right. Okay, I have no further question. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
Any other questions? Seeing none, okay. Thank you very much. Do you have another witness you want to present?
No, we do not. But again, we do have somebody from Montrose, should there be questions from the board, but no questions from respondent for that
Okay,
individual.
all right.
Well,
Did you have another question? you
well, I
wanted
don't
to-
know if Montrose is the right person, because I was, we heard from the district, and I'm not sure who was was a petitioner's request to provide qualitative testimony regarding the health risks from the monitoring. Is Montrose the person to answer that?
Montrose is the fence line monitor equipment. I don't believe
They
there's.
don't believe that,
no.
okay. And it's a petitioner, which is the district, and I think your qualified statement is that there's inadequate data to do the risk characterization. Is that what it is?
Right, that's correct. Based on the two 24-hour samples, a health effects study cannot be done based on that.
Okay.
So what exactly do they need to do so that we can come, or you guys can complete that? What exactly is needed?
I think that would require ongoing monitoring. I'm not entirely sure. I just know that with what we have, it couldn't be done.
Has there been any type of communication from LA Sanitation, how they're going to get that information to you?
No. The health study was never proposed by the district. That's not something that we had
It
sought.
wasn't one of the deliverables.
No.
All right. Okay. Anything else, board members? Okay, do you have anybody from the public? Madam Clerk?
Madam Chair, there are no hands raised from public members via Zoom. And I don't see anyone or have any cards from any members of the public that are in person.
Okay, thank you. All right, we can go to our closing statement. And Ms. Chavez, did you want to do that?
Sure, thank you. Thank you, board members, for your attention today. As you have heard, there have been recent capital improvements, the scrubber refurbishment and the permanent tank covers and seals. The odor complaints seem to have reduced thus far. The district believes that the changes made through this OA have had and will continue to have a positive impact in addressing the odor nuisance at Hyperion. At this time, the district is not seeking modifications to the order for abatement. Well, excuse me, actually. Thank you for pointing out that there was the end date to the order for abatement of January 31st. So we will be seeking jurisdiction to continue until the end of August, given that there is a final deliverable set to be done by June. That will give time for compliance to inspect and confirm that the OA conditions have been met. So we suggest at the end of August to complete the order for abatement. The OA conditions that require inspections, maintenance, the complaint system, the fence line monitoring have allowed Hyperion to improve its operations. In regard to Hyperion's complaint system, although it appears that Hyperion needs to improve and provide written summaries to public members, you have heard that both the district's compliance team and Hyperion agree that the complaint system is helping, as Hyperion is able to be held accountable to the community, be notified of odors sooner, and more quickly respond to the cause of the odors. The district insists keeping that condition as is. As I said, the remaining deliverable is due in June. We seek retention of jurisdiction until August 30th, 2024, so that can be completed. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Havenstadt?
Thank you. We look forward to continued progress at the facility. You heard about some steps forward, and we will continue to do the work on our end to improve compliance in all respects and improve the situation at the facility, about which members of the public have raised some concerns in your body as well. And with that, we'll join in what I understand is the request that will be from petitioner to extend the abatement order through August 30th, 2024, in order for some important continued deliverables to be met by the facility.
Will that also include responding to the public when they have tried to contact you?
Yes, of course, that is going to be investigated. You heard the commitment of Hyperion today, and we will definitely follow up with that. We understand the requirement of the order, and we'll do our best to also better document what we are doing to also make sure that staff and this board are comfortable that we are doing what we are to do under the order.
Right, because right now you have heard from members of the public, not only in writing, but also testimony through the phone that they're not getting any information or enough information, but they overall still feel that it's just that nothing's being done. They're not seeing progress. All they know that is that they're on the receiving end of those odors.
Yes, just like this board and the district itself, both actual progress on the ground we recognize is important in addition to transparency of that progress. So we are going to do the work on our end to continue to improve in that respect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a clarification, so to say, the monthly reports will continue until the order expires, correct?
That's our understanding, yes.
Okay, so the ongoing reports will still continue because the order is still extended, so correct.
As long as the order is in place, all of the conditions under that order, it is our understanding we must comply with.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments from the board members? Okay. All right. Okay, I guess we need to have a motion to go ahead and change that date that was on the findings and decisions. Do we need a motion on that, Madam Clerk? We need a motion on that.
Yes, and I imagine this is stipulated. If it's stipulated, then there's only the need for a good cause.
Okay. All
Just
right.
confirm it on the record, I didn't hear them speak to it, that they nodded or stipulated, but let them say it.
Yes, respondent stipulates to the extension of the order as has been described in this proceeding.
Okay, good.
Yes.
And we just need to find good cause on this. So I would entertain a motion unless there's more discussion.
Well, the deliberation, I don't know if anybody, I think, well, I was going to say, if you think, as part of the deliberation process, is that while it's the number of complaints have reduced, there's still ongoing complaints, there's still improvements that needs to be done. I think the facility is aware of that. It's not, because we're still in the hundreds of complaint and are calling it in. So there's still improvements that can and should be done while it's ongoing. But hopefully, having the tank D, the battery back up again, it's not operating, so that should not be the source of where the fugitives are coming from or where the complaint source is. But having that finally repaired and covered properly, while before they start that up again, that'll help definitely in reducing the odors. But again, I think besides the fact that they're not this, the fact that the reports, the community is not getting the reports that they wanted, but I think that can be easily addressed by making sure that they are getting it. I think the ongoing maintenance and diligence in the facility in responding to the public, because then it points out, as was indicated, that then the facility knows if there's a problem and go investigate it, and hopefully that continues and improves, so that when we come back in August, anyway, in August, the timeframe, we will hopefully get a report on the number of complaints have gone down even further, and it's just not the anomaly that maybe Mr. Pierman was asking with the winter months that the complaints drop normally, but we don't know. Hopefully that trend will continue, and we'll get a more positive report by the next up. And I guess we don't have a status update really hearing, so it's just the order ends when they submit that. So there's no more status report.
Well, what concerns me is that there are people out there that are still suffering actual health effects, such as one of the members of the public described having headaches, nausea, that's still occurring. And I don't see where there's, Mr. Haynes gave us a kind of like a laundry list of the types of odors that are existing. And I would think you'd need to find the source of the actual, the odor, whatever it is, and try to resolve it, because it's still, we're still getting complaints, even though they're lower, there are still people out there that are not, they're not well because of this. And to me, it's unacceptable that people should still be, after all this time that we've worked together, the district and LA Sanitation has worked together, you still have people that are suffering from the health effects, and we've got to resolve that.
So the question I have is, do we need, I don't know if board members feel the need for another status update before the order ends by the end of August?
What's the pleasure of the board?
I,
Comments?
for one, would think, mid-August, getting a status
yes.
update. And so we know that, there's the improvements, the number of complaints has steadily gone down, and it's not an uptake, and then we can, at least then with the orders sunset, we can at least, be not assured that all the orders are gone, but at least it's,
Going in the right direction.
Improvements, yeah, have the money in the capital they spent in doing the improvements have paid off,
Dr. Abraham.
I agree with maybe an interim update then, a status update.
Right.
Mr. Pearman?
I'll agree to that. And since we're saying this is stipulated, we should ask the parties if they have any objection to picking a date in August.
No objections from respondent. I know that there's some vacation plan in August, so I'm just trying to confirm that date so I don't interfere with the scheduling.
And I think probably the clerk is going to check the calendar, so.
Yeah.
What I think we ought to do is we ought to possibly come back with a subsequent date, because it's very difficult to, they were not prepared for a status update in August. And so we're proffering that today. Hold on. So allow us to at least come back and let the clerk, we can come back tomorrow, perhaps send correspondence. But I think it's a little bit premature to select a date today.
I think we can select a date today and then they can change it, because because we can always move the date.
Yeah, that's not a problem to move the date if we find that it doesn't work for whomever, whether it's the district or us, or whether it's.
I just wanted to
LA.
clarify, is this a written report or you actually want to come back for a hearing?
She makes a phenomenal statement. Her inquiry for clarification is sage. So we want to come back in for a hearing, or do we want them to simply provide a written status report? I think we need to work collaboratively with both sides on this, because there's a tremendous amount of work underway. Most of that work we are not even able to really articulate and or absorb today, because it's just so vast and voluminous. But to simply say we want an update, well, let's define that.
Yeah, and I would say come back for a hearing, but if both parties want to do it on consent and do that, that's, and submit the work, that's fine also. It's up to you how you want to do it, but as my idea is to have the inspector come back, but inspector can provide testimony, a written declaration, on that. So whichever you choose to do, but I would say, let's pick a date. I don't know, Madam Clerk, you have a date?
Well, let me, and I'm sorry I interrupted you, but what I am concerned about is if we do it on consent, that the public will not have another opportunity to let us know what's going on out there. And if they still are on the receiving end of these odors, and have the odors been reduced? Have they dissipated? Are they gone? I'm sure that the public is going to want to chime in on this.
Consent hearing doesn't preclude the public from testifying. They can still provide comments.
The government code provides, to Ms. Abalakapalan's point, the government code allows for the individuals to provide public comment and or testimony. Our health and safety rules also accentuate that point.
Well, it's, Mr. Pearman, you
Well,
want
that's not the point. They can pull a consent calendar, remember, if the
Yeah.
public request and we agree. So
Right.
it's probably naive for us to think there won't be comment. So while the written consent is a nice idea, I think it's unlikely here. So if you want something in writing, ask for it. If you don't want it, then assume there'll be a hearing and we'll have a verbal report. It's up to you, sir.
So for me, Madam Chair, I would be more inclined to go with a comprehensive written report. That report is then published on the website so that the community can have an opportunity to review. Our the health and safety code, as well as our hearing board rules, are very, very stringent with respect to the ability of the public to pull an item off of consent. There's a process for which must be undertaken. And oftentimes, when matters are placed on the consent calendar, that is literally a day before the meeting in some instances, which does not give the public enough opportunity. So providing the written analysis or the written report and whatever other exhibits or vignettes, videos, etc., can be included in that, I'd rather that be uploaded and provided as opposed to coming back in, waiting for a lengthy period of time. Individuals are at work. They may not have an opportunity to participate at 9 o'clock in the morning or 9:30 in the morning. And then perhaps that status update can even be provided sooner. It can be provided in June, written report, as opposed to waiting all the way to August.
I propose we have a public hearing like today, and if it changes, it changes, but that's my preference, that we do have a
I
hearing.
happen to agree with you, Mr. Balagopalan. And I understand your point, Mr. Ali. But I think in this case, because there has been such an impact of health effects, that I personally would like to have a regular hearing.
Okay.
So
I'll support that on consent. I know there's issues with that, but I just don't want there to be this protracted process when they're simply providing a status update. And I don't want the public to be under the supposition that some actions that we can take during a status update, if in fact jurisdiction concludes after August, you still want to give their false perception that something else is to follow unless the district finds additional complaints or some violations, etc. I just think that we have to be very cautious with giving people false hope and the belief that the hearing board can exercise a measure of power and or authority for which we just do not have.
however, I do think though, by having a hearing, that the public will see that our intent is to hear them, is to be concerned about whether the LA Sanitation has done what they said they were going to do, and the district has held their feet to the fire. And that's where I'm at.
So then let's consider doing it in July. Let's look at doing it in.
Is that enough time though for both parties?
The end of July would be good for us.
Perfect.
That timeframe works.
Okay, all right. So, Madam Clerk, you have a date at the end of July. And of course, just as we stated earlier, if there's a reason that we have to move the date, we can move the date.
Madam Chair, July 30th and 31st are currently available.
Is that a Tuesday, Wednesday?
That is correct.
Okay, how about the 31st?
The 31st is available.
Okay, any problems with that date?
No.
Presently? Okay. Okay, all right. So I'll entertain a motion to come back on July 31st for a status update. And hopefully we will have much more to discuss. And this, we will see that it's a situation where there has been movement and that it is in the direction of trying to help the odors reduced, if not eliminated, on behalf of the public.
So moved.
So I'll make the motion that we extend the final compliance date to August 31st, 2024, and
Yes.
schedule a hearing for July 31st, 2024 to receive a status report and or to consider modification of this order, if or
Second,
Okay, any discussion on the motion?
I just want to confirm that implied in that motion that you find good cause for us to grant.
yes, I was
Yes,
going to.
yes.
Yes. So, and I'll, yeah, I should have done that first before doing.
That's okay.
So in the matter of South Coast Air Quality Management District versus LA Sanitation Bureau Hyperion Treatment Plan, case number 1212-40, I move that we find good cause to for a modification of the stipulated order for abatement with the changes that I just mentioned. The status hearing will be on July 31st, 2024, and the final compliance date will be August 31st, 2024. And with no other changes to the previous, we don't have the finding and decision document that was prepared on June 30th, 2023.
all right, Ali seconds.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? All right, how do you vote, Mr. Ali?
Aye.
Dr. Abraham?
Aye.
Mr. Pearman?
Aye.
Mr. Balagopalan?
Aye.
And I also vote aye. So we are unanimous. So we will see you back in July, and hopefully it'll be even better news. Thank you. Any other matters that we have?
Thank you.
Okay, if not, anything you wanted to add, Madam Clerk?
I just wanted to remind the board that you did receive consent calendar documents in hard copy for cases that are scheduled for tomorrow. So if you can respond to those as quickly as you can.
All right, thank you very much. And we are adjourned.